Hello, and thanks for joining us for today's tech demo with the focus on recovery analytics. My name is Kevin Collins from Unitrends, and I'm here with Mo Al-Shafi, and he'll be taking us through the demo today. And don't forget, one lucky attendee will be walking away with a $500 Amazon gift card. We'll contact the winner via email after the demo. But before we get started, I'd like to cover a few housekeeping items. This session will be recorded, and after the event, you'll receive an email with a link to the on-demand version of the demo. I would also encourage you to ask questions throughout the presentation. You can do so by typing them into the Q&A box in the bottom right of the player. We'll answer your questions at the end of the session. At this point, I'll turn it over to Mo. Enjoy the presentation, and Mo, take it away. Mo, I think you're still on mute.
There we go. Did I find the button correctly?
You are now live.
Thanks, Kevin. Thanks, everybody, for joining today. Pleasure to have you. Appreciate you joining us. We have a brief yet very informative session planned for today, and it's very exciting. At the end of it, we will have a winner. But just to do a sound check, Kevin, you can hear me clearly? Everything's okay?
Everything's fine on this end.
Excellent. Excellent. All right, we'll go ahead and get started. What we want to talk about today is some of the analytics capabilities that Unitrends introduces with our product, with the solution, especially encompassing more about the challenges that face IT administrators, not just from a backup and recovery and even disaster recovery perspective, but from the threats that are looming when your security systems fail, when you need to know more about what's behind your data than just can I restore a file or a folder out of it. Now, I'm sure sometimes you may be bored by salespeople showing you these marketing slides and these percentages on the screen, trying to scare you from whatever and tell you why you need backups. But these trends aren't really about that. In actuality, we want you to know how we differentiate. And it helps me to show that there are good ways of doing things, and there are more challenging ways that basically can help an IT administrator overcome some of these challenges. On the left-hand side of the screen, the 33x or times represents how much faster environments are outpacing the IT folks that are managing and implementing these environments. So more and more are we seeing organizations facing complexities, yet without having to be that enterprise level organization. Ransomware is one of the nastiest things happening these days. It's hard to ignore, and the numbers are staggering. They're somewhat shocking, basically, to see how frequently, from our perspective, how frequently organizations are hit by ransomware. So it's a compound problem of added complexity on top of which you're having to cover more and more and make sure more and more of your environment is protected and not having as many people to basically do that. 60% of companies have been impacted, which is a legit threat to the business, especially since 63% of those organizations, according to research, we're down for more than a day, and a lot of the time spent, a lot of the times we're talking to folks is either their backup data has been attacked and actually in a lot of situations deleted, and we'll talk about why. But a lot of the other time is spent looking for known good backups from which IT administrators can recover from. What the challenge is that, when the machine is hit with ransomware, as a lot of you may be aware, it doesn't mean that that particular server or machine stops doing backups and stops giving you false positives. So, and that's a killer. This is all adding up to downtime. It's not just from ransomware. We don't want to make this all about ransomware, but from anything that impacts the continuity of your organization and your business. In North America alone, downtime is costing organizations $700 billion a year. So why do we want to talk about recovery analytics today? Because your backups are only as good as your ability to recover from them. And you absolutely need to go about your environment making sure that backup is the last thing you will have to worry about. I've been at Unitrends for 11 years this week, and I have never talked to an IT administrator who wakes up dreaming about doing backups. It's just not sexy. So having a data protection that helps you detect these attacks early so that you're not the last person to know when you get that call about something not working, but you also want to have a solution that can give you that guarantee that you can actually recover and meet those business objectives in the time frame that you and the business units agreed upon. You need to be able to automate risk analysis so that you can see on paper and in actuality what is going to be the impact of my outage and how much time and data could I lose. And that also will give you the chance to make sure that your environment is covered, that you're able to capture these threats and be able to do something about them and be able to plan accordingly. In August of this year, a variant of ransomware hit the shipping giant, where it basically cost them a ton of money, as you can see here. So it doesn't matter the size of the organization. It doesn't matter how enterprise it is. These threats know no mercy. My wife's laptop was actually hit by ransomware. We've all read the news and saw how ransomware can be carried out. It was phishing. It was an email with an attachment from her accounting department. It's a spreadsheet that they use on a daily basis, and you know, doing 5 things at once, she didn't think about the attachment that came. It came legit from one of her coworkers, and all of a sudden her machine was you know, encrypted and all of her data. Luckily, they happened to have you know, backups of the systems, but it happens that quickly, and the threat is that real. So what we've you know, what we have on our website is a beginner's guide to ransomware. We have you know, shared the statistics, and they're pretty eye-opening, alluding to and showing you more and more why it is that you need to have a solution in place that can help you fortify your strategy against recovering from such attacks. A lot of folks out there are actually paying the ransom. I wish I had the slide on it, but an FBI official from the Boston area was actually recommending that folks pay the ransom to get their data back, get back to work quickly. And you know, the best defenses against an attack like ransomware is to have sound backup, a solution that can help you detect these things. And because, as you can see here, 40% of spam will actually contain ransomware. So as far as your organization is concerned, it's not a matter of if am I going to be hit with it, it's a matter of when. And like I said, we talk to organizations of varying sizes, and we have seen folks that got hit with this kind of stuff no matter what size the organization is. So the defense against something like this must include the ability to not only, again, have data backup in place, because backup alone is no longer good enough. You want to be able to have, and what a lot of backup solutions, and I'll talk about it from a backup perspective, because at the end of the day, Unitrends is a backup company. A lot of solutions talk about protection, recoverability, but in the middle, as you can see here, there are a lot of unaddressed aspects to this. The security of the system, the testing capabilities that's often ignored, the detection capability. This actually is a new thing that Unitrends is doing that has not really been associated with data protection products. Usually that's security solutions that are doing this, but what Unitrends has done is introduce some new approaches to this problem to help with making sure that you're covered. The secure portion of this is running a solution on a platform that is not susceptible, or not as susceptible, I should say, to these threats as the machines are that it's there to protect. So from a lot of our competitors who run their software on Windows-based operating systems, we're seeing a lot of feedback and forum posts on their forums where ransomware was able to penetrate their backup system because it lives on Windows, and that's where ransomware guys make a lot of money, is attacking these operating systems because it's the most common out there, and they're actually deleting the backups and then forcing the organization to pay those ransom fees to get back to their data. Testing capabilities, we've introduced an aspect of data copy management, or we call data copy access, where folks can replay their backup data into fenced environments where you can actually test how well your backups are. So not only are you getting green blocks to indicate your backup was successful, but we're actually validating the data by not just booting up the machine and taking a cute snapshot of the login screen of your server. No, we go beyond that by actually allowing you to specify tests that can run queries on databases, that can ping certain IP addresses, that can test services, that can also allow you to run your own custom scripts on these machines upon powering on from the backup. The detection stuff as well is pretty cool that we're doing here for proactive ransomware detection. It's an aspect of machine learning where Unitrends can identify any anomaly behaviors in the environment at a system-by-system level and warn the administrator that's using Unitrends when malicious attacks have occurred or are being carried out in the environment. So we're actually learning the change rates within the environment to warn against potential ransomware threats, and it goes out and defines it by machine that says, hey, this machine had change rates X, now its change rates are Y. There might be something going on with this machine that you want to check out. You can control what that threshold is so you don't get, again, false alerts on that, but it's another tool and a method for you to get this level of detection in your environment so that you're not the last to know about these threats taking place in your environment. Obviously, when ransomware attacks, data is encrypted. In its nature, that's going to cause higher than normal change rates, and that's the aspect of AI that our solution has to be able to learn about the environment and alert you when stuff like that is detected. Obviously, there's full SLA governance and automation. The approach that we're taking here is define, certify, and then basically report. So let's take a look at what we mean by this. We've also added an aspect of SLA Policy Automation, RPOs, RTOs, as defined by business units. IT people need to make sure that this carries it out, is basically controlling the initiation of and flow of backups, not just from a local backup perspective, but it lets you define the following. What do I protect? How well do I protect it? How often do I protect it? And where do I take a copy of it to somewhere else? All in one place, in one policy, in one screen, which makes it a lot easier for IT admins that are controlling tens of servers, a couple of servers, or even hundreds or thousands of machines, where they can initiate these SLA policies and have machines adhere to those policies that are created. How it works is by simply in one screen setting up the parameters that help you define those business agreements and SLAs that you have with the business units of your organization. And then we have the aspect of that testing, which is the recovery assurance that, again, gives you that confidence in your environment to be able to measure against those defined policies that you have identified and agreed upon, and it also reports on it so that you can make sure you're on the same page with those business units, making sure that you're able to meet those. And what we've seen from our customers is that this has, again, backup is not sexy. Remember that. So people don't want to spend most of their day babysitting backups. In a simplified approach like this, where you can set these policies, you cut down the time that administrators are spending on making sure that their critical machines are protected, but in a way where they can do it easily, not having to go to 5, 6 different screens to do it, different tweaks and dials to do, or even introducing multiple products to do it with. And as far as our partners are concerned, I'm sure some of the audience here are some of our partners, this has allowed you to now extend a solution that is flexible and simple for your customers to use and for you to be able to help your customers implement. This is a screenshot of these SLA policy definitions where you can set the retention periods, you can set the RPOs, certain systems need to be backed up in certain fashions. You can create multiple of these policies that you see here on the screen to help you automate the flow and the life of the backups as opposed to having to go to different places or different solutions even to do it from. So this lets you define how it gets backed up and stored locally. Obviously, Unitrends does the inline deduplication that lets you get more retention out of the storage that you consume, but also lets you define where the data goes, whether to cloud or to your second location, as you know Unitrends is capable of doing, or to some cold copy targets like removable tape or disk or NAS or SAN, or even third-party clouds like Amazon. So in a lot of our approach, we talk about the old ways of doing things versus the new world, which, Unitrends helps you see things from a new lens. And long gone are the days of praying that backups that you captured, whether 2 hours ago or 2 months ago, are going to be able to recover successfully. Long gone are the days of scrambling during DR exercises that you may have gotten around to doing once or twice a year, and you're nervous about it working or not. And goes to the next bullet, they're rarely, if ever, testing DR. Testing DR, according to research, is an exercise not a lot of organizations engage in simply because of the cost that's associated with it, the personnel that needs to be involved, and the lack of automation and having to spend so much time doing that Unitrends now helps you in this new world, new lens of looking at things and new way of doing it, having an automated, proactive approach to doing this that, believe it or not, can be somewhat fun because of the simplicity of use. And all the reporting and proactive knowledge about how well your environment is doing is brought into the UI, where you can see this stuff in a cool reporting way, where you can have that emailed to you, you can see it on the dashboard, you can configure and manipulate how you want those recoveries to be, and is all available from the appliance UI that you can see here in front of you. So any analytics and automation is happening right there in front of you on the appliance. You have the dashboard tiles that you're all familiar with that you can manipulate, and the one that we added for this is recovery assurance that shows you how well you're able to meet those SLA objectives that have been defined for the organization. Recovery analytics, again, means that not only are your backups being captured, but you're able to see those backups put to use in compliance built-in reports that show you all the details that you need in terms of what are my actuals. I can define my objectives, and I will, these are wishes. I'll draw a parallel here with the objectives. These are wishes. This is what I wish things to be and how they work. You can wish all day long, but what this brings to the table is the ability to see those wishes, come into reality. We help you identify what the actuals are, as you can see on the screen, where you can see, am I able to meet those objectives? Have those been realistic? Are there things that I need to tweak? And it shows you what are the things that we do to basically help bring those actuals forward. What are the tests that we're doing to help you achieve this level of comfort and confidence in your data protection? Are there things that failed that need my attention? I can see that detail. Basically, letting you take care of these things beforehand, before it comes to a time of disaster, so you can be exactly sure how long you're able to afford losing data and how long it would take you to recover from that data before a disaster actually happens. Unitrends also presents itself as a, as you guys may be aware, Unitrends can be delivered as either a purpose-built physical appliance, and like you see here in the picture, an integration, a true integration of disk and software to do the data protection needs, but can also be delivered as a virtual appliance that can run on a hypervisor where you bring your own storage, CPU, and memory and compute to it to help you run your data protection. So depending on the complexity and the nature of your environment, maybe you have some storage investments that are already there that you want to take advantage of, or if not, maybe you have multiple locations and you have some virtualization in some and storage and others you don't. That's where Unitrends adds that flexibility to be able to cover the needs of your environment no matter where and how the environment is. Unitrends obviously is a leader in providing physical server as well as virtual machine protection, and all those capabilities that we talked about with recovery analytics are available to pretty much everything Unitrends protects, whether at the hypervisor level, at the agent level, at the application level. We can monitor and detect those aspects of your data protection strategy. The hardware, worth mentioning, comes with analytics on its own components. We have proactive monitoring on our hardware. Any sector problems on hard drives, we are able to detect. The appliance does use some self-healing mechanisms to try to overcome those problems, but if it goes beyond that, we basically will proactively take care of that problem, working with our customers as well as our partners to make sure that those problems are taken care of, such as what you saw from our customer, Jason, the bottom here with the quote that he provided us that we're very thankful for. So these are some of the things Unitrends is doing to offer that proactive measure of help and support and making sure the environment runs as smooth as possible. For those of you who haven't seen it, I just want to show a couple of things really quick here on the appliances. The appliance we're seeing here is one of our virtual appliances. It runs in VMware. So it's just a VM that you can run. Again, you assign it an IP address that you saw in the browser there where you can access it from. And in that VM, you can add resources, disk, memory, CPU, and be able to give it the needed horsepower to be able to run your backups. As far as the physical appliances go, we have different models available. Those are available on our website. They range from the 2 terabyte all the way up to close to 200 terabytes in size, different U-rack mount sizes, and different backup capacities. And we're pretty transparent as far as our MSRP pricing. That's all also available on the website. But you can see these come equipped with their own horsepower to run the jobs necessary. And when you click on a particular model, you can see more details on the data sheets as far as memory, network cards, 10 gig, fiber channel, what's available on what different model. But basically the approach we take is the appliance goes on premises and is there to basically protect the workloads that are identified in the environment, whether those are physical machines or virtual machines. So just because you run a physical Unitrends appliance doesn't mean you're limited to protecting physical servers or vice versa. You're able to protect everything that you have there, NAS storage as well, applications. From there, the appliance can also do cold storage backup copies to locally attached media such as tape, disk, NAS, SAN, or even third-party clouds. And then Unitrends has its own replication mechanism as well that can be leveraged to go to your other site, which you can also run physical or virtual appliances, or you can go to the Unitrends cloud where we offer disaster recovery as a service, and then we can also do all the analytics stuff that we talked about for the data within the Unitrends cloud to give you recovery assurance in the cloud to make you feel confident about the data that's being stored off-site to go off-site. We actually send you compliance reports like we saw in the presentation on a regular basis so that you can see how well you're able to meet the compliance. But the solution is a simple to use UI. We actually revamped our UI a little over a year ago where we went as far as reducing click counts to get certain functions done. Under the configure menus where you can configure what things you protect within your environment. And again, this is a virtual appliance. This is a physical appliance. UI is exactly the same, minimizing your learning curve if you're an organization with multiple sites that needs to run this. And obviously, you can run all appliances deployed from a single pane of glass. But this is where you can add what things you want to protect within an environment. You can see here I have my VMware, I have my Hyper-V, I have my Exchange, SQL, Oracle, file servers, virtual machines. Basically, under the Protect tab is where you can configure those SLA policies that we talked about earlier, where you can identify what level protection you want to do, which systems you want to protect, define them. You can edit specifics about what disks to include or exclude or configure things for exactly how you want them to be backed up. So there's a lot of flexibility built in here. And then you can set the other parameters of, I've already identified what I want to protect, but how often, how long do I retain it for, and where does it go after that? So that when I go to recover from something, I can simply look at a backup catalog that shows me everything. I can filter for exactly the things that I want to recover from. Maybe I want to recover things from the cloud. I can look at my hot backups, and I can then easily go into whatever it is component within my environment that I want to restore from. I could see purple backups. Those are backups that are in my cloud. I could see locally stored backups. So the learning curve, again, is minimized as far as what you restore and how you restore it. You can go in, take advantage of our instant recovery capabilities that puts machines back online as quick as possible, either to the same area it came from or an alternate area, be able to selectively choose the specific areas you want to restore to. So it's as simple as a drop-down, choose the resource pool, choose a storage area, and then I can do some pretty cool things with identifying how well that machine can be recovered, but also not, losing sight of the basic recovery capabilities at the file level, be able to search for individual files and choose where that gets restored. I can easily, as you can see here, within a few clicks, be able to browse where I want to restore certain data and put them back exactly where I want them to go back to. So a lot of ease of use has been included in this. The dashboard is obviously there to allow you to move certain aspects and customize the view as to exactly what portions of the environments you want to see. This is the recovery assurance analytics that we do on data that defines your RPO and RTOs to help you see that. We also have the proactive detection for ransomware that is alerted for you at the screen and help you define those and identify any anomalies that happen in your environment. A lot of the dashboard components are hot links to reports that can take you to more detailed information about the environment and the data copy access. Last but not least thing I want to talk about is where we can help you, again, put those backups back into use to identify, are there any gaps in my protection strategy, in my recovery points, recovery times. These are systems I've backed up. Now let's go ahead and put them into a schedule that automatically restores these, not only tests if the machine comes back up like we said, but helps me define RPOs and RTOs, helps me define test networks where I want to restore things if I don't want to bring them back into the production. Do I want to perform custom scripting? Do I want to run these on demand or scheduled? You can easily identify that in the 4-step process here. And then what boot priorities do these machines have? What IP address information do I want to give them, CPU and memory? And what tests do I want included in that test so I know for sure that this machine will run as well as I know it can, as well as it should. Custom scripting is available. Maybe you have a server, you want to make sure ransomware doesn't touch it. Maybe you want to do this on all your servers. You have a script that goes and checks if files are encrypted on these servers that you know you're never going to encrypt. And so this helps you define when was that last known good backup for me, as well as other application tests that are specific to your environment that you can run here to make sure that you have that coverage and need for analyzing your data and making sure that when you go into your recovery assurance, you know exactly how well your backups are meeting or exceeding your expectations within your environment. So I hope everybody found this session to be helpful. Obviously, there's a lot to cover. I can go on hours talking about Unitrends, but I also want to leave time for some Q&A. So, Kevin, are you still with us?
I am. We've had a few questions come in. Why don't we get started? Actually, before we do, there's still time to ask a question. If you want to do so, you can type it into the bottom right of the player, and we'll get to your question as soon as we can here. Okay, so the first question is, if data is growing 33 times faster than IT admins, do you feel that this is somewhat manageable due to centralized management solutions?
Absolutely. Absolutely. So a lot of these automation solutions are in place to help with this. Technology is racing with the growth of the demand, and there's plenty of tools that can help that. And from a backup perspective, Unitrends can also be flexible of a solution to help you keep pace with that growth through our flexible scaling options, centralized management capabilities that we have to also help you keep pace with that from a backup perspective as well.
Okay, the next question is, has Unitrends appliances been affected by network-capable ransomware?
Never. We haven't had a reported incident yet. You guys probably saw there's far less ransomware attacks targeting Linux. We use Linux as our base operating system. Unitrends at the end of the day is a hardened Linux appliance, and so short answer to the question is no. And the way that we've architected the solution helps us further protect your backup data from such attacks.
Okay, the next question is another one on ransomware. Unitrends uses change block tracking for possible ransomware detection. In PETA, weren't only a few files encrypted, so this would not be detected by Unitrends?
The threshold of how much change can be set on a per machine basis. So if you know certain change rates can be safely ignored on certain machines, you can manipulate that.
Okay. Next question is, does Unitrends support backup to LTO tape?
Absolutely. Tape can be used as a tertiary backup storage to elongate the life of your backups and help you secure your backups off-site in that fashion. If tape is an investment that you already have and you want to continue leveraging, we can help you utilize that as well.
Okay, next question is the ransomware detection available on all appliance versions? If so, what versions are they on?
That's an available feature. It's a standard feature. I'll use car manufacturer nomenclature. It's a standard feature on all models.
Okay, next question is the testing done without connecting to a network, or is it on a separate Unitrends only virtual network?
Testing would be recommended to be done on an isolated network. Obviously, that's up to the administrator. We allow you to identify what networks you want machines to be spun up in. So if you want it to be in a fenced environment, you can. And if you want it to be spun up in a live failover to a real-life production network, you can do that as well. And that's where you identify that in those profiles in the data copy access screen.
Okay.
Good question.
Next question is Kroll still a tool used for item-level exchange recovery? Have they updated to support 64-bit Outlook?
Kroll is absolutely something that we still use to offer item-level recovery because of its powerful capabilities to allow for more than just an item-level recovery at the message level. It can do entire mailbox. It can do it to a PST or back to Exchange, and it does a really good job of searching for text within attachments, message body, message subject line. So this is definitely a tool that we will keep using.
Okay, next question is, my appliance is an 823S with version 9. I don't see data copy access and SLA policy on the Protect tab. Which version do I need to update to have those options?
Version 10 that came out a couple months ago, I should say, introduced those capabilities. Data copy access is available with our Enterprise Plus versions of the appliance, or the software, I should say.
Okay. Next question is...
Contact support, and they will definitely guide you in what direction you need to take with all of that.
Okay.
I know that because I spent 5 years of my tenure my 11-year tenure at Unitrends in support.
All right. Next question. Can Unitrends back up Office 365 Exchange Online?
Yes. Unitrends offers Office 365 protection for Exchange, SharePoint, as well as OneDrive.
Okay, next question is, from a backup copy standpoint, what options are there to control retention levels on the target side?
You can basically set the retention options to hold on to the data forever or to whatever retention period you need. For our cloud, for example, we can go start from 90 days, 1 to 7 years, or forever. For locally attached media, such as removable disk or tape, obviously you can retain that data as long as you need to keep it off-site for. We keep a cataloging of that data on the appliance so that when you bring it back, it identifies the data that's there, match it up with the serial number of the media used, and you can always import that data into the appliance in case you happen to capture it from a different appliance.
Okay. When you restore a backup to a new machine, do you need to use the same configurations on the machine that the backup was completed on?
No. Alternate restores are supported. We also support the similar bare metal recoveries to different hardware where you can do P2P, V2V, V2P, giving you a lot of flexibility to go between hypervisors as well as hardware manufacturers.
Okay, next question is, should we be backing up the backup solution?
Unitrends does that within itself. We capture a system state backup of the appliance with every archive and every replication job that we do.
All right. Can a recovered system be run directly from the Unitrends appliance?
Unitrends does support what is called Windows Instant Recovery to spin up a backup of a Windows machine as a virtualized instance on the appliance itself using the KVM hypervisor that the appliance is built with. Yes.
All right. next question is, I've received notifications that the predictive analytics engine has detected anomalies on the following systems, which possibly matches the behavior of the systems impacted by ransomware. I have Semantic and it's not detected anything. What's next?
You can manipulate the change rate amount on that server, because that may be just the normal change rate that we flag, but you can work with support to adjust that threshold.
All right. What UI version are you running for this demo?
The latest, 10.0.
Next question is, can I use the distributed enterprise manager to set up plans over multiple UEBs?
Yes, you certainly can.
Is LT07 or upcoming LT08 supported on the roadmap?
Any tape that can take the Linux commands that connects with SAS or fiber channel may be connected to Unitrends and utilized. If you heard differently from support, please send us a private message so we can investigate.
Have any third-party audits been done with our solution?
Yes, multiple, especially with our software, our hardware manufacturing, as well as our cloud. Those can be furnished upon signing an NDA.
Okay, next one is, what is the dedupe or compression rate?
That mileage may, we'll call it, your mileage may vary depending on the data type. What we see on average is anywhere from 10 to 20 plus to 1. But again, the higher redundancy in the data that the environment has, the higher dedupe ratios you're going to see, obviously. So certain aspects of an environment will impact this. We can't say for sure without actually backing it up, but those average numbers I shared are what we're seeing in our typical environments.
Okay, can Unitrends work on Windows or is it a Linux program?
Unitrends only runs on Linux for security purposes from malware attacks, as well as the stability of the operating system. We do not offer our solution as a Windows-based program.
Does the Unitrends appliance flag ransomware signatures to prevent future attacks from similar ransomware attacks?
That's something we're looking to add to the product. At the current time, we do not do that. We simply detect the environment change rates and learn what those are.
Can the appliance on-site be configured with AWS or Azure storage?
100%, absolutely. Unitrends appliances can use that storage as cold backup copy. Targets, blob or S3 buckets can be used. Unitrends itself is also available in the Azure and AWS marketplace to be run in those clouds to protect workloads that live in AWS or Azure.
Okay, next question is, what kind of external storage can I use to add extra synchronization to my backups outside the company, but using, for instance, CEO houses as cloud places?
If Unitrends virtual appliances are used, any storage that the hypervisor it's running on supports can be used with Unitrends. For cold backup storage, any NAS, SAN, iSCSI, fiber channel, Ethernet attached storage can be used to place backups onto.
Can Unitrends back up Salesforce data?
Not yet. This is an item that we've been discussing at Unitrends at the product management and development levels. It is a roadmap item. I unfortunately don't have a time frame to give everybody just yet. We will make an announcement about that, just like we did with our upcoming Nutanix integration for hypervisor level snapshots. So things like that get communicated from Unitrends through our press releases.
Okay. We're just about out of time, so we'll do one more question and then we'll wrap it up. We're in the path of Hurricane Irma. Yeah, lots of questions.
Yeah, this is great.
We're in the path of Hurricane Irma, and if we lose our server site, how long does it take to get a replacement server with our data from the cloud?
Unitrends, first of all, I pray for everybody's safety. That's going to be in the path of the hurricane. My family also is in South Carolina, so I'm a little worried for their safety. So I hope it makes the turn quicker and misses the mainland here. But Unitrends will overnight ship replacement appliances once the data is populated into it from, obviously you would have replicated data to the cloud if you are replicating to the cloud, but if you are just worried about your on-premise appliance and getting one replaced, that would be, in either way, it would be an overnight shipment.
All right. Well, lots of great questions. Thanks, Mo, for taking us through this. As a reminder, this demo was recorded, and you'll receive an email within the next 24 to 48 hours with a link to the on-demand version. Thanks again for joining us, and we look forward to having you on future demos. And we'll be contacting the $500 Amazon gift card winner later on this afternoon. Thank you so much. Take care.
Thanks, guys. Thanks, everyone. Have a good day. Thanks, Kevin.